thrill him.
But take him out, and
right.
boy, do you notice it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's just the best we've got in the competition for me.
Speaking of St Helens, England winger and 2018 Golden Boot winner Tommy Makinson has signed a new 4-year deal with St Helens. Makinson, who's 27, helped Saints win the League Leaders' Shield and celebrate it, and inspired England to a home series win over New Zealand. St Helens chairman Eamon McManus said Makinson had rejected offers from Australian clubs to stay with the Saints.
St David said, good news week for the mighty Saints. WBW, God, they're starting to sound like fucking Leeds Rhinos fans. Tied down now just to sort out the WBP and coach. I think he means world's best prop, and I think he's talking about Luke Thompson. Who was it that was telling me? Someone I was talking to last week was telling me that Luke Thompson's dad's loaded. So he doesn't actually care about going to the NRL for money, so it's just whether he can be bothered about going to it to prove himself. I don't know how true that is, but
nice position to be in if you could be, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but yeah, it's good for Saints. I don't know how they keep doing this, Tim, and Wigan keep losing people, but Saints and Leeds and people like that keep retaining them. But there you go, good deal for them. I still think he'll go to the NRL.
Maybe it's all the free vapes they get because the sponsorship were totally wicked.
Surely they'd have to declare that on the salary cap.
Probably, at some point in the future.
Yeah, maybe it's a way around it. Maybe vaping capsules is the trick.
Anyway,
still didn't explain Warrington. Oh, free concert tickets.
There you go. Yeah, get to meet Elton John.
That's the Super League news wrapped up then anyway, isn't it? Pretty much?
So moving lower down the reaches of the world, Batley Bulldogs have strengthened their squad ahead of the Championship season with the loan signing of Hull FC prop Lewis Bienek or Bigneck, depending on...
Yeah, Joshua's granddad said the signings of Thompson and Levy obviously put Lewis down the list of props, so the loan deal makes sense. Lots of sense in helping continue his development. Hopefully there's a recall option should we suffer an injury crisis like last year.
Or the year before. Or probably the year before that, because you have to have an injury crisis if you're Hull FC.
Featherstone have signed forward Daniel Smith on a 1-month loan deal from Huddersfield. Meanwhile, young Castleford fullback Callum Turner has also joined Fev on a 1-month loan deal. That puts pay to him potentially being my rising star at Cas if he's been shipped out. But there you go.
Yeah, speaking of props on the move, Barrow have signed front row Josh Johnson on a 1-year deal following his release from Hull KR. The 24-year-old was released by the Robins last week by mutual consent due to Johnson wanting more first-team action.
Yeah, Tom Andrews, obviously Hull KR fan, so had seen him up close last year. He said good luck to him. Was very low down the pecking order at KR, still young for a prop, so hopefully get to see him back at Super League level soon.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, he's probably 7 or 8 spot in the rotation, so it's not a huge surprise he's moved on.
Nah, exactly. Dewsbury have signed 20-year-old former Leeds hooker Harvey Whiteley for the 2019 campaign. I think he had maybe only made 1 or 2 Super League appearances a couple of years ago, didn't he, Harvey Whiteley?
Was he one of the tranche that went out to Featherstone for?
Yeah, he's one of the kids whose name ended in Lee, who was dispatched at the end of last season because they don't run a reserve side basically. So he's found himself a deal, which is good for him. Swinton
have signed former Lee forward Jamie Acton on a 1-year deal. And do you think you have to declare the petrol to Redhall and back in the salary cap?
Well, it's okay because they've got rid of Josh Barlow, haven't they? So they're just using his fuel dispensation to replace it with Jamie Acton's.
Let's see what we get this time. Next story.
Harry Maders will follow in the footsteps of his father and grandfather by putting pen to paper on a contract with Oldham. The 19-year-old has signed his first ever professional deal that sees him remain at the club for this season. So obviously 3 generations of Maders in the Oldham first team now.
There we go. Congratulations to him. Reigning Super League Man of Steel Ben Barber has been sacked by new club North Queensland Cowboys over an alleged incident in a Townsville casino. The 29-year-old who left St Helens for the NRL side at the end of last season had yet to play a game for the Cowboys. When a player joins the North Queensland Cowboys, he agrees to abide by the terms of the contract, said club chairman Lawrence Lancini. After internal investigation, it's been determined that this player has acted in contradiction to both the terms and spirit of that agreement. Accordingly, the club has terminated his contract and has informed the NRL's Integrity Unit.
Yeah, people wanted to have a bit of a say on this one. Tom Andrews said, "Welcome back to Super League, Ben. There's a decent casino in Hull, burger, beer, and a bet for a tenner." Read what I said about how I'd take Barber at Hull KR. Now I know what he's allegedly done. He can royally fuck off. Adam Quinlan's better anyway. Nice about turn, Tom. Definitely the right direction you went there. St David said, "Great talent, but once a tit, always a tit. Take note, Wigan. Re Hardacre." I'll pick back up on that in a sec. Mark Butler said, "Loads to say on this. Before anything else, you have to think about the victim of his actions. But as fans, we're bound to be disappointed that he keeps doing things that take him out of the game. Interesting that there's a move to prevent him coming to Super League again. I could go on and on about this, but ultimately this can only work with all clubs on side, not waiting for a club to move and pressurising that club." So obviously things have probably moved on a little bit since Mark sent that in, because the RFL have said that they have an informal agreement in place with the NRL that any player banned from either competition will see out those bans, and it would be upheld. Now, lots of people have sort of then raised the issue with this about, if you're banning Ben Barber, why not ban retroactively ban other people? So St Helens fans in particular have jumped onto Twitter to say, what about people who are homophobic or beat up students or do stuff like that, or drunk drive, etc. Basically, they're talking about Wigan signing Zach Hardacre, and whilst they have a fine point that Zach Hardacre has done some totally reprehensible things, it's very hard, isn't it?
Much as you might disagree with the punishment he's received, he has received a quasi-judicial punishment.
Well, it's just hard to play this little game, isn't it? Well, why don't fucking St Helens fans notice that he was, and St David has, that Ben Barber is not a fucking good human being. I don't think Wigan fans are out there saying Zach Hardacre is a good human being at all. I would take someone who's punished themselves and damaged themselves like Zach Hardacre has done over someone who fucking beats up a woman, to be honest. And Ben Barber got away with this before in the past because it got swept under the carpet, because I don't know if it's the same missus, but a different missus or the same missus a few years ago.
I believe it was the same. And I believe I believe that Todd Greenberg was at the time, he was the CEO at the club that Ben Barber was at.
Right, and so obviously when this happened in the past, it was brushed aside because the girl didn't press charges. Maybe there wasn't the same sort of material evidence that apparently exists this time around, and obviously it comes after his drugs ban as well. Now, taking drugs recreationally is nowhere near in the same realm as beating anyone up, let alone a woman. So for me, if we're talking about what Zach Hardacre's done, the fact that he took drugs that night ranks way fucking lower than everything else on that list that we went through. What Ben Barber does, if we have to rank these things, jumps right in at the top, alongside any of the worst stuff that Hardacre did, the drunk driving. So,
or the homophobia.
I don't know why it had to be connected. It seems like it has. If we're then going to hand out retrospective ones, where do we start and where do we stop? It's a very tricky subject. What I like is that if we're going to start drawing lines in the sand, let's start drawing them in the sand about things like this, about behaviour like this, because we don't want our game to be marred by it. And my understanding is there's quite a problem in Australia with Indigenous communities with this sort of stuff. This is what I've seen on documentaries and seen in news articles and stuff. So it's not good that the stars of our sport are going out there and almost kind of portraying it as being okay because they get back into the league. So it's good that people are starting to take a hard stance on this sort of stuff. There's lots of people in the NRL and in Super League already that maybe a hardline stance should have taken. North Queensland Cowboys have obviously learnt their lesson because, they signed Robert Louis. Yeah. He committed a crime again. They kept him, and no one talks about how he was twice charged with domestic violence, and so it's good that a line's starting to be drawn in my eyes.
Yeah, I think, and the point about mirroring the bans is good, that it can't be seen as an escape route to come to Super League, because frankly, we don't want you either. Piss off.
Yeah, and we could start throwing everyone out, but there was no reason not to talk about the quality of Ben Barber's performances on the field. There was always a question mark, wasn't there, about Ben Barber off the field? I think he did work hard last year to redress that image, but clearly he's still got a problem, and it's that thing of how many chances, and probably Hardaker's had too many, but at least we're now stopping giving these people extra chances.
Yeah. Until the next time Zach Hardaker does whatever. Anyway, moving on.
Well, if he beats a woman, he doesn't deserve any more chances, does he? If he beats up a pregnant woman, then he doesn't even deserve to play for Salford, but apparently that's okay. England star Tom Burgess, 26, has penned a new deal with South Sydney that will see him remain at the club until the end of 2023, but his brother looks like he's going to be heading to the exit door at South. So interesting, rumoured. His twin brother. Yeah.
Apparently due to some sort of falling out with Wayne Bennett, which is interesting.
I think I read it was more about a salary cap situation. But yeah. But I suppose George did slip down the pecking order for England at times, although I think he did okay last time around.
Cronulla have appointed current interim coach John Morris is their new head coach on a permanent basis. Morris, who played 300 NRL games during his career, has penned a 3-year deal to take over the head coaching role from Shane Flanagan at the Sharks. I didn't see this one coming. Not.
It seemed like they were talking to everyone that was out there on the market, so maybe they just thought there isn't much out there on the market right now.
As soon as he was appointed interim, I just assumed that was done and they were just going through the motions, but there we go. Maybe that's my cynical reading of it.
I don't know. I don't see that he's had any. He hasn't really had much chance to prove himself because there's been no games and stuff. I think it's going to be an interesting one, but they obviously had to move on, and they've done so.
Okay.
And finally, former Catalans Dragon halfback Scott Giroux has said he is having chemotherapy after his cancer returned. The 32-year-old is on the coaching staff at Newcastle Knights in his native Australia. I had surgery in 2014 to remove a brain tumour and have been going for regular scans ever since, Giroux said on the Knights website. In November, I saw my surgeon for a routine checkup and it was discovered that the tumour had returned. I had surgery and was given the all clear, but unfortunately it has spread to my liver, which is why I'm now having chemotherapy at the moment.
All we can say is get well soon, get well quickly, and we wish you all the best.
Yeah, we wish Scotty Giroux all the best indeed. Okay, so if everyone wanted to get in touch with any takes on next week's news as the week goes along, make sure you look out for links to the Google form for the fan views on the week's news so that we can share your views in the show like we did with the views we had this week. On to the match reviews. Super League match reviews then. It was round one of the new beginning. Average attendance across Super League this weekend was a healthy 9,456. We'll pick out the crowds as we go along. We're going to do things a little bit differently this year. For each game, one of us is going to do more of the talking and kind of share out the games that way rather than a lot of talking, and we've flipped things around. We're going to put the stats up first so that we're not repeating ourselves too much as we go through. So we're going to start with the first game, which was Thursday night's game. Obviously, as the Wigan fan, I'm probably going to find it hard to bite my tongue if I wasn't giving the main opinions.
You get your cherry and white spectacles on and get going.
St Helens 22, Wigan 12. It was 12 all at half time. 16,500 braved the sub-zero conditions for it. I had my running tights on below my jeans and I had 2 pairs of socks, 5 layers on top, and was still frozen to the core. Robert Hicks was the referee. On the stats, they say that St Helens took their chances better. They made just 82 more metres at a narrow 0.3 metres per carry better average, but made 5 breaks to Wigan's 3 and scored 4 tries to Wigan's 2. God, I've done a lot of typos on this, haven't I? Their win was despite 3 more errors by Saints and a 4% worse team tackle success rate. Which probably surprises Wigan fans, because it felt like we